What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, August 15th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 13:53 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Russia. So, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said yesterday that Russia sent a formal inquiry to the U.S. State Department outlining intelligence information showing the U.S. has been deeply involved in the organization and execution of attacks that have taken place deep inside of Russian territory. So he's talking about all those Ukrainian deep strikes with the drones and the Flamingo missiles over 1,000 miles away, deep into Russia, and also some of the random factories that caught fire as far as Siberia. The evidence, Lavrov says, proves the Trump administration has been actively involved in aiding Ukraine in bombing Moscow and St. Petersburg. Explicitly, Lavrov says the evidence proves the U.S. has been involved in attacks against civilian targets inside of Russia. He made clear Russia is waiting for answers from the State Department. He did not say how long Russia would wait before taking retaliatory measures. Wow, okay, so the Russian Foreign Ministry demanding an explanation why the U.S. is helping Ukraine conduct deep strikes on Moscow, St. Petersburg, other places, okay? So this is huge breaking news, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. It's just another nail in the coffin of the peace deal that Trump said was going to take 48 hours. Also, we have some very concerning news coming from Russian state television. They released a list of targets that would be hit if the Ukrainian conflict continues to escalate. So they specifically mentioned all European capitals are under threat if our missiles stand up in Kaliningrad. Berlin, capital of Germany, Warsaw, the capital of Poland, all the Baltics, Paris, Bucharest, Prague, of course, American bases in Germany, Garmisch, Partenkirchen, Patch Barracks, Spangdahlem, and Ramstein. We will pay special attention to Britain as our traditional enemy, as a significant part of the Northern Fleet will work against it. Under attack, Washington puts not only London, Manchester, Birmingham, and the largest naval base, Devonport, Clythe, Scotland, where the King stores Trident nuclear missiles, the port of Sheerness and Chatham Dockyard in the county of Kent. Britain at its most vulnerable. Basically, all it takes is 3 missiles, and this civilization will collapse. Wow. So very, very concerning news coming out of Russia. And we're hearing that Russia is planning a massive attack either on Ukraine or Eastern Europe, potentially as soon as this fall. And right now, this afternoon, we currently have a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane airborne over the Gulf of America. This is pretty unusual for a weekend. These planes are responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. And according to Politico, NATO plans to use artificial intelligence to manage a large number of drones in order to strengthen its eastern borders. As part of its strategy, the alliance is creating a digital battlefield network that includes thousands of drones, sensors, and satellites connected to AI. Its goal is to detect and repel a potential Russian attack. So you see how AI is spreading into the military, and the new stealth bombers, the B-21 Raiders, are going to be controlled by AI. So in the event that a pilot is unavailable to fly the stealth bomber, The stealth bomber can literally fly itself and drop nukes on predetermined targets. So, and we already have self-flying F-16s. Everything is going to be controlled by AI. It's like real-life Skynet. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video. And Ukrainian Flamingo cruise missiles hit Russia's RKC Progress rocket plant in Samara this morning. The facility supported key Russian military space launch vehicle production, including for Rosvet, which is Russia's Starlink copy. One source said the location manufactures Russia's Soyuz 2 rockets. This matters because Russia's Starlink-like Rosvet LEO satellites have so far relied on Soyuz 2 rockets for space deployment. Local residents and monitoring channels described a series of powerful explosions in the industrial zone near Zametsa Street, the aerospace cluster. Wow, so Ukraine targeting the Russian Starlink. And North Korea may send another 50,000 troops to fight against Ukraine, according to journalist reports. Pyongyang is preparing much greater support than during the previous phase of cooperation with Moscow. So this tells me that Russia is preparing a big offensive of some kind against Ukraine if North Korea is going to be sending that many troops. And Bloomberg reports the Trump administration is preparing unprecedented economic measures against Iran in an effort to force a deal with the Islamic Republic before the November midterms. This move also suggests Trump is favoring economic pressure and diplomacy over a return to military strikes in Iran, despite pressure from some in the high command of the U.S. military. And Trump said that he is defeating Iran very big and will soon declare the Strait of Hormuz a territory of the U.S. Let me play this clip for you so you can hear it for yourself.
And after we finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated, pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Essentially, that's what it is. We have the blockade. No ships get through unless we want them to.
I think he's getting a little bit ahead of himself, don't you think? And Trump also said on Fox News, we're capable of destroying the whole place, referring to Iran. We don't want to do that. We have got economic sanctions against them like nobody's ever had before. If they hit, we would hit back 100 times harder. Let me play that for you.
They believe that it's possible that right before the midterms, Iran's going to become more aggressive because they think you're not going to hit them back as hard before the midterms. What do you say about that?
We're capable of really destroying the whole place. We don't want to do that. We have got economic sanctions against them like nobody's ever had before. There, we're doing it in a very professional manner. We did it with Venezuela a little bit differently. We could go in. I mean, if they hit, we would hit back 100 times harder.
So the difference is that Iran is not Venezuela, guys. Iran has a 1 million-man army. They have thousands of missiles. They have all kinds of equipment. So Trump is really underestimating Iran. And we've already depleted 50% of our Patriot missiles, 80% of our THAAD missiles, and a quarter of our MQ-9 Reaper drones have already been destroyed. And Iran's deputy foreign minister commented about what Trump said about making the Strait of Hormuz a U.S. territory. He said Trump has said that after Iran's defeat, he will soon declare the Strait of Hormuz U.S. territory. The Strait of Hormuz cannot be seized with a tweet or an aircraft carrier, nor through an executive order or a campaign speech. Iran neither fears threats nor is intimidated by displays of power. Accept reality once and for all. So far, you have suffered serious strategic defeats. The Strait of Hormuz has been, is, and will remain Iranian. The strait will only be opened or closed under Iran's command, and as long as you refuse to accept the reality of defeat and abandon your delusions, Iran will continue to enforce the blockade. Wow. So Iran is not afraid of Trump. They're making Trump look really weak. Okay, we look really weak. We lost. We lost the war, guys. We lost. We did not win. The Strait of Hormuz is not open. Fuel prices are still high, and we expended well over half of all our missiles in the process. Okay, do you call that a win? I don't think so. And Politico is reporting that the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is set to expire with negotiations at a standstill, raising uncertainty over whether the two countries could return to direct fighting. Talks have stalled over key parts of the agreement, including the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, and sanctions relief. And Bloomberg reports that major U.S. defense companies are now racing to produce cheaper missiles to replenish the expended stocks. Top defense contractors are trying to produce missiles as quickly as possible. And satellite images show a major oil slick off of Iran's Keshem Island, which is right in the Strait of Hormuz, with oil also detected near Siri Island, raising concerns over environmental impacts, and that's obviously because of all the fighting going on over there. And the USS Abraham Lincoln's supply problems began after Iran heavily damaged the U.S. Navy base in Bahrain at the start of the war, knocking out a logistics hub the Navy had relied on for decades, according to the New York Times. With other Gulf ports also vulnerable to Iranian attacks, the Pentagon shifted its main regional supply hub to Diego Garcia, 2,200 miles from U.S. carrier groups operating in the Gulf of Oman. The much longer supply route contributed to shortages and logistical problems aboard aircraft carriers supporting operations against Iran. Okay, so initially the MAGA crowd was saying that, oh yeah, that's all fake news. That's just the Democrats making it up. And then Pete Hegseth basically came out and confirmed that it's true, that they ran out of food, they were giving them junk food, worse than prison food, and that everything that was said was true. So, and acting U.S. Navy Secretary Hung Tsao says the USS Abraham Lincoln will return home soon as part of a planned carrier rotation, and admitted that mental health cases have occurred on board. Tsao acknowledged that the prolonged deployment has taken a toll on the crew, saying a small number of mental health cases were treated with no loss of life. Meal plans were adjusted when fresh supplies were unavailable, while calls home were restricted during periods of heightened operational threats. Tsao said the USS Abraham Lincoln's deployment was extended because the mission demanded it, acknowledging that its sailors and Marines had been pushed to their limits and were tired but had never broken or been taken out of the fight. He also criticized media portrayals of the crew as victims, calling them instead the epitome of American strength and resilience. So basically, guys, it boils down to all these sailors on this aircraft carrier were basically suffering because of Trump's indecisiveness and stupidity in the way he's been handling Iran, with the constant state of limbo where we're neither at war and we're not at peace. We're in this constant halfway, half at war, half at peace. Every week it changes. And, Trump doesn't want to make a difficult decision one way or the other, so he wants to just stay where we're at, maintain the status quo. And in the meantime, our troops' deployments are being extended constantly to maintain this state of limbo, and they're being pushed beyond the typical rotation period, which for an aircraft carrier is 6 months. And not to mention, they were at war, okay? This wasn't a peacetime deployment of 6 months. This was a wartime deployment of 6 months. These guys are working 24/7 when they have to launch these strikes. They have to be up, constantly awake, constantly doing stuff, whatever their jobs are. Okay, it's not a peacetime deployment. It was a war deployment, and it's lasted 9 months, okay? And a reporter asked Trump about the situation on the USS Lincoln. She asked, family members of service members are concerned about conditions on the USS Lincoln, and Trump interrupted her and said, no, they're not. The reporter then replied saying, has the deployment gone on too long? And then Trump said, no, not nearly long enough. Wow, what a nasty thing to say. Do you think he respects our troops? I don't think so if he's saying stuff like that. And an Israeli Air Force airstrike targeted the Kalat Mace Castle well inside Lebanese territory between the villages of Insar and Zararieh. And Israel launched intense strikes on Ali al-Tahrir in southern Lebanon. So Israel launching some deep strikes on Lebanon overnight last night. Iran is not going to like that for sure. So enjoy the peace while it lasts, because it's not going to last forever. And Israel already said that they're going to act on their own, okay? And their intelligence says that Iran is going to basically reconstitute by mid-2027 everything that was destroyed so far this year. So the clock is ticking. Israel's basically saying, look, by this time next year, Iran is going to be back to where they were before the war, okay? Israel's not stupid, and hopefully Netanyahu doesn't cave in under the pressure of the Trump administration, and I hope that Netanyahu stands strong. And the U.S. Army has temporarily grounded Apache helicopter training flights following the deaths of 2 soldiers in an AH-64E crash near Fort Hood. And Trump said that the economy is doing unbelievably well from the standpoint of Wall Street. So there you have it, guys. That's it for now. I might be back later on tonight with another update. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a major sale on their 4-week emergency food supplies. And to get the deal, you got to use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com. The link is in the description down below. But you're going to get 2 4-week emergency food supplies for $416. That's 2 months of emergency food for $400. Where are you going to find a deal like that? This is freeze-dried food, has a 25-year shelf life, packed in 4 rugged, watertight buckets that don't take up a lot of space. So even if you live in a tiny apartment, you can still prep and have 2 months of food for just $400. Use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get the deal, and the link is in the description below this video.